Welcome everyone to this week's expertise networking session. Today we have a special guest speaker. He's here. You've already met him a little bit. Gary Searle. He's the founder of Customers, which is a company around referrals, brand partnerships, and affiliates. So you guys know that referrals is one of the most important powerful growth tools in a business, and we don't use it as much as we should. So when you have like a satisfied customer that recommends your product or your service, that's worth much more than any Facebook ad or any sponsorship or anything like that. For businesses, this means lower acquisition costs, and this is super important. Like if you can spend less money trying to acquire new customers, who's going to say no to that? Higher conversion rates, and customers tend to stay longer and spend more money while they bring you customers to your business. So this is a wonderful topic. We've never discussed this before in our group, and I think we all agree that we want to grow our businesses and make more money, right? So hopefully Gary's session today will help us with some techniques, with things that we can implement very easily in our businesses with his guidance today. So Gary, thank you so much for being here today. I'll let you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and yeah, let's look for all this.
Brilliant. Thank you. So yeah, it's great to be here. So this is actually probably the first one of these types of sessions that I've done in about 6 months, actually. So I might be a bit rusty, but I will try to do my best and serve you all and give you as much value as possible. So yeah, as Safar mentioned, my business is around referrals and word of mouth. My business is essentially around 5 referral sources that I believe to be the most effective and the most efficient referral sources that we can use in our business. Most businesses that I speak to aren't doing as much as they could be, and I would say should be when it comes to referrals. And there are actually a lot of people that have this misconception that referrals can't be consistent, they can't be predictable. And I want to show you how they can be today and hopefully show you some things that will make you think, I'm going to implement this into my business. Because that's the most important thing. I don't want to just come here and just speak at you for an hour, hour and a half, and then you don't really get anything from it. I would like you to actually take some of the things that we talk about and learn today and actually implement it into your business and implement it right away. So everything that I teach today can be applicable to your business. There's maybe one aspect that won't be, but I'll kind of preface that when we get to it. But the first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the referral sources that me and my clients use. I don't necessarily use all of them. My clients don't necessarily use all of them, but you may use one or two of them, or you may decide that they are all applicable. From there can be tactics and systems within each one that you can use to implement into your business. But the easiest way is to just introduce you to each one. The one that most people think about is client referrals, getting your existing clients to refer you more often. They will usually be your best source of referrals, but they actually might not be your most consistent, depending on the number of clients that you either are working with or have worked with. But client referrals should always be one of your main priorities when it comes to referral marketing. Another one that is quite popular, and it's getting more and more popular with the increasing cost of ads and it's harder to get like organic reach on your content and all those kinds of things. And that is partnership with other businesses. And how that works is you look to develop partnerships with businesses who either serve a similar client to you or they have a complementary product or service to yours. And then they refer people to you and potentially vice versa. Or if it's more of an affiliate type deal, which is actually the next referral source, it could be just they refer people in return for a commission. So that takes me on to that as a referral source, and that is affiliates. You can bring people in who can refer people to you, and they are doing it purely for that commission. Some people kind of look at affiliates as a different thing than referrals, but actually it is a type of referral. It's just that it's not going to be necessary. It's for like a reason. It's for like that financial return that they can get. If you have employees, you can also train your employees to bring referrals into your business. And that's the one that I said that won't be applicable to everyone here. Maybe even no one, depending on if anyone here has actually got any employees. But I do also work with clients that do have no employees. So that is one of the reasons why we have that one. And the fifth one is one that I've actually brought into my business only really in the last year. And the reason for that is I didn't really think that it would be the best referral source until I started doing it with a specific client that requested it. And that is to partner with influencers. And that can be people that have got a really big audience, or it could be that people that have got a smaller audience, but a very deep relationship with that audience. And maybe they've got an audience that is very much your audience, and then they can promote you to their audience in order for you to get sales and then to make referrals to you. So when it comes to referrals, we don't have to implement all of them, as I've said. You may start with client referrals and just partnerships. And from my experience, you can get daily or weekly referrals depending on how many clients you need to bring into business with just those two alone. But as your business grows, you may then look to make an affiliate program. You may look at employees, bringing those in and then having them refer people. And then you may look to partner with influencers. Out of those five, is anyone here using any of those at all at the moment? I imagine most of you are probably trying to get more referrals from your clients. Has anyone, if you can put your hand up or say yes in the chat, has anyone used partnerships in their business in order to get more referrals so far? We've got a few people. That's really good, actually, because the amount of times I go to these groups and nobody's doing it, and I'm like, it's such a goldmine that people aren't implementing. But from what Safa said, actually, at the start of this call, I was like, this is going to be really good, because there's a lot of these I go to where people have this misconception around referrals and that they can't be predictable and they're not a good source of referral, a good source of clients and leads. And it's a shame, but it sounds like all of you do kind of use them in some form in your business. What about affiliates? Is that something that anyone's done for their business so far? Paula, brilliant. Anyone else? And Joanna, wonderful, because that's another one that is quite often missed, and it looks like Rebecca as well. So is there anyone here that's got any employees? Does anyone actually employ anyone else? So Stefan and Sylvia, brilliant. So this could be applicable to you then, the referrals for employees. And then influencers, has anyone used that one? I wouldn't worry if anyone hasn't, because I didn't until last year either. So that could be a new one. So that might be worth looking at. Okay, so in terms of in terms of client referrals, a lot of people think that when it comes to referrals, that all we need to do is just do great work and then the referrals are coming from our clients. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that. Most of the time, you have to still ask for referrals. There are some people who build incredible businesses really quickly and they build great relationships with their clients and they just seem to get those referrals down there. But they're probably an anomaly for most of us. So don't feel bad if you're not getting a lot of client referrals. The biggest thing is going to be is if you're not getting any at all, that might be something that, okay, maybe you need to look at how you're delivering your service and the relationships you're building with your clients and things like that. But one of the key things that we need to do is start asking for more referrals. One of the things that I see that is probably a mistake from a lot of businesses is they wait to ask for a referral until their clients get to the end of their working relationship with them. So let's say they buy a 3-month coaching program, for example. They wait until they've got to the end of those 3 months and then they ask for the referral. What I recommend is to actually do it whenever they get the biggest win from working with you. Now, that could come in the first week. It could come after 1 month. It could come after 3 months, whenever it may be. That is the time to ask, because that is when they're going to be most likely to refer you and be like, oh, yeah, absolutely, I want to recommend this to everyone else. And another way is in how you ask for referrals from your clients. The standard way, and I'm sure we've all had that, is who do you know, or do you know somebody that would benefit from my services? It's great. Sometimes it works, but what I tend to find is it's not the most effective. So what I look to do, and when I'm working with my clients to get more referrals, is I will then say to them, okay, so you've just had specific wins. Let's just say, for example, they've just made an extra 100K in their business, just a random number, but just a bit. It's a big win for them. It's a big thing that means a big difference to their business. You can say along the lines of, I'm really pleased that you have got this great win, this great result. Who do you know who you would also like to help get this same result? Who is it, someone that you really care about, who you would really want to see get similar results for their own business? So this does two things. It's about them, but it's also about the person that they're referring. It's not about you just getting a new client. It's about you being able to help someone else and then being able to recommend someone as well that they care about to also get that same result. So it's sometimes in the way that we word it can make a massive difference. So just going to see what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at any questions or any things that we say that come up in the chat at the end. Otherwise, I might lose track. But please do put things in the comment section because I am going to go through them. And then if there's any specific questions, we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So now with partnerships, a lot of you here actually do partnerships, and that's really good. As I said, the most important thing when it comes to partnerships is looking for businesses that either serve the same client as you or they have a complementary product or service. But the most important thing when it comes to partnerships is you don't want to just be building as many partnerships as you can get and thinking, oh, the more partnerships I have, the more referrals I'm going to get. Generally, that doesn't work because a lot of the time, if you're building a partnership with someone, just because you're looking to send them referrals or you're looking to build up a really great partnership, it doesn't mean that they're going to send referrals to you because a lot of people are more than happy to take a referral, but it doesn't mean they're going to give them. So you want the partnership because when it comes to the partnership, it is about sending referrals to one another. So one, you've got to be willing to give referrals. And that could be a question to ask yourself is when was the last time you personally gave a referral to someone? Because the more referrals that you are giving, theoretically, the more you should get back. There are things that we need to do to improve that. But if you are giving referrals, you're generally going to get them as well. And another thing around referrals that I should have probably mentioned a little while ago, actually, is a lot of people, when they want referrals, is they just think about it in terms of, I want a referral to somebody who is ready to buy my services right now. I actually believe that that's a mistake. And I think it's a mistake when we think about just marketing and advertising and lead generation in general. We're looking to essentially, when we're looking to get leads and looking to get potential clients, is get in front of people who might not necessarily need the services right now. If we put out an ad, it might be someone who might need what we've got in the future. And then they're going to actually end up buying 6 months down the line, a year down the line, sometimes even as much as 4 years down the line or more. I've had someone who I met 10 years before they became a client, but I kept that relationship going. And when they was ready, they then ended up buying from me. And I've even had that same person refer to me before they even bought from me. So what I would say to referrals is I don't want people to just send me referrals for people that are ready to buy right now. I'm more than happy to be introduced to people who just might benefit from any content I put out or just knowing me, or maybe they're interested in a collaboration themselves or a partnership. And then eventually they might become a client. Maybe they never will, but they may end up referring people to me. Because you don't just have to get people that have worked with you and spent money with you to become a source of referrals. People who trust you, have seen maybe your content online, or you built up a great relationship. They know that you're a great person and you care about your customers and clients, and you want the best from them. And for that to happen, they're then gonna send referrals to you just because they know that you're going to look after them. So I would say is I'm more than happy to be introduced to anybody who can benefit from knowing me in some way, whether we can be a collaboration. Maybe they want to learn more from my content, whatever it might be. If they become a client, great, but it's not an absolute necessity. What that then does is it gives me more opportunities to build more relationships that can turn into potential client opportunities for myself. But the most important thing is what we can do for one another. So I think when it comes to those, the most important thing is to be very relationship driven. And I get the feeling from this community, you are all very relationship driven because from what I've heard from Safa, what she mentioned and what she said at the start, and kind of hearing about you from like in the introductions. And actually, if you're looking to build more partnerships for your business, I would say this is probably a great community to start with, is to start looking at, can you actually be good partners for one another and start referring to each other. I don't know how many referrals do get exchanged in this community, but it could be a really good place for you all to actually start thinking, okay, who can I introduce to someone from this community? So Stefan, if you like, who can I introduce to Rebecca, or Paula, who can I introduce to Joanna? And it's just looking at little things like that, because there's always going to be opportunity for us to make an introduction to somebody else, and they are going to remember you from that. And one of the things that I say when it comes to referrals as well is it's win, 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 because it is a win for you, but that's probably the least important one. It's also a win for the person that you're referring and the person that's being referred. So it's something that we all benefit from, and it helps everyone. And it's a great way to do business. Some people hate doing cold outreach. Some people love it. Some people hate doing content. Some people love it. Some people like doing ads. Some people love it. And the same with referrals. Some people might not want to do referral marketing, and that's completely fine. And the great thing about referral marketing is it can be implemented alongside any other form of marketing, advertising, lead generation tactics that you might want to use. So if you've got things that are working in your business, I'm not asking you to substitute any of this for anything that's already working in your business. But I do also have people that are 100% referral based and they use the referral sources that I have mentioned here today in order to implement them into your business. Now, the employee one, I'm not going to go over too much at the moment just because there's some people here that it's not going to be that applicable with. But if you have got employees and you want to learn a little bit more, feel free to come and have a chat with me after this one and we can talk about it further. But when it comes to employee referrals, we don't want to just be thinking about, okay, if we've got someone who does the sales in our business, we don't want them to just be the only people that are referring. We want everyone in the business to be talking about you, talking about the work that they do, talking about the services that you offer, and actually have a lot of passion for it. And that's one of the things when it comes to about the employee relations, is the relationships that you're building with employees. Are they strong relationships where they want to refer you? And that's the key thing there. And as you'll notice on all of these referral sources, the one thing that I keep coming back to is relationships. And that is the most important thing when it comes to referral marketing, is the relationships that you're building with your partners, your clients, your employees, any affiliates that you got. And the better the relationship, the more referrals that you're going to get. I can guarantee that. And then on the last one, the influencers. So this, as I said, was a new one for me. But what we found when I actually had a client request this is there are some people that have built really good communities similar to this one. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a community where it's like got thousands upon thousands of people. It could be a small community that's got 40, 50 people, but they've got really good relationships, the person who runs that community with their audience, and they can then recommend you and your products and your services. And it can be in return for providing something of value, similar to what we're doing here today. I'm trying to give you some ideas and try and get your brain thinking in terms of your own business and how I can implement these things and how I can get more referrals coming into my business. And when I say my business, I mean for you, for your business, because that's the most important thing here. I'm not here to try and sell anything. I'm not even going to really pitch here at the end. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my service at the end, but that's literally it. Because the most important thing I want is for each person here who wants more referrals is to implement something from what we've talked about today. So based on what I've said so far, because I know I've done a lot of talking and I don't like doing a lot of talking because I like to give other people a chance to talk and see if there's any questions I can answer, but we are going to do a Q&A at the end. But is there anyone that's got any questions right now that they want to ask based on what I've said? Feel free to put your hand up or put something in the chat if you've got anything that you would like to talk about before we go into some breakout rooms. Safa, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so generally, like I get these emails from like big corporations like Airbnb, like to recommend or affiliation. How does it work for solopreneurs, like for coaches, consultants? Do you do it manually? Do you schedule time each week to make sure that you're talking to a few people to get them to refer you? And what's the incentive that you would actually share with them?
Brilliant. So yeah, big businesses, as you see, like you said, Airbnb, that they're always asking for referrals. I actually don't think they do it in the best way. And maybe for some of them, they can't even do it in the best way because they're just too big and they just don't have the means to talk to each individual customer. To answer the first part of your question, I recommend doing this manually because the relationship is most important and you can't automate a lot of these things. There are some automations you can use, and things that I really recommend is things like having a CRM set up where it can tell you when was the last time you talked to this person, so that it can remind you, say, oh, you haven't spoken to Joanna in the last 6 months. Maybe you should actually reach out and see what's going on in her life, or maybe you should see if there's anyone that you can refer to her, or if you've got any new services that you can potentially help with or give some ideas on, or whatever it might be. That's pretty much the only form of automation I would use. Otherwise, I would recommend doing all of this manually. And for me, I don't think there's a set thing you have to do. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of every single day you're asking for a referral. It might be that you set some time each week to ask for a referral, or ask for an introduction, or to give introductions and give referrals. It could be something you do daily, it could be something you do weekly, or it could be just something that you set up, say, once a month. And it probably depends on the size of your business and the amount of clients you want. Because if you work with a small number of high ticket, high paying clients, you don't need a huge amount of referrals in order to get more than enough business just from referrals alone. But if you've got a business where you are serving hundreds of people, then you're probably going to want to do this a little bit more often. Does that answer your question, Safa?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. Does anyone else have a question quickly before
Well,
we do go through some bits?
Sharif's
Oh,
question is in the chat.
okay, brilliant. Let me just double check because it's not coming up on. Why is it not coming up on my screen? Ah, there we go. Does case studies fall under the bracket of referral or recommendation or neither? Does testimonials? Brilliant question. And the reason for that is because I think testimonials and case studies is actually a really important part when it comes to client referrals. But the biggest thing that I find when it comes to case studies and testimonials is most of them are very basic. And usually along the line, there's great work, really enjoyed working with X person, or really enjoyed working with them, would highly recommend. That's a very standard testimonial referral that we case study that we'd see. Doesn't tell anyone anything, doesn't tell the person who's looking at these case study and testimonials, is this going to help me? So what I recommend is asking the people that you're asking for the case studies from is to give a little bit more context, give more specifics, more information, as much as they're willing to share, and even share these specific results they've got, or the specific things that they came to you for in the first place. It's like, what were the problems I was facing, or what was the thing that I was trying to achieve, and why did I pick this person specifically rather than any of the competition? So case studies are really important, but the key is the amount of information that is provided within that case study. And one of the things that you can do, and some people don't agree with this, but I personally think it is something that you can do, is when you're coming up with testimonials and case studies, is to work with the person that you're asking for the case study from, and maybe give them some ideas and say like, okay, do you remember such and such time we achieved this together, or we worked on this and I remember this great result that you had, or this great thing that you said, and it would be great if you could include that in your testimonial. So you are giving them some sort of prompt and you are helping to come up with the best case study possible. The most important thing is everything they put in case study has to be true. So it doesn't matter if you're making suggestions and what they include, as long as it actually genuinely happened. You definitely don't want to be putting anything out there about false information testimonials, because unfortunately that happens a lot. I see a lot of testimonials that are faked, and it really hurts your credibility. So it's entirely fine to work with your client to come up with the best case study and best testimonial possible, but make sure it is true. Joanna, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take us too far from the subject. But so I've started my career in sales, and I get the whole process. I'm pretty good at it. And Safa knows through Sunny. She's probably heard it a few times. I have no problem doing cold calling, reaching out, drafting emails, and these kind of things. Now, when it comes to promoting my own self, I don't find it's not that it's difficult. I just don't find it like authentic in a way, even though it should be more authentic because it's my own service. And I'm doing I'm doing some healing modalities on the side, and none of the facilitator do any of their affiliate partnerships, referral. They kind of create a little bit of a group of people, I guess affiliate we could call them, that do promote them. So I guess my question is, have you seen a better result for solopreneur coach, which most of us are, to do all of that through an agency or a third party versus doing it on their own?
So if I get right, do you mean in terms of having an agency or a third party help you to build say your team of affiliates or your partnership for you rather than you do it yourself? Is that the question? I just want to make sure I am getting it right.
Correct. And representing, a person's services versus me just claiming who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So that actually does take me a little bit into one of my services. So I am just going to briefly talk about it just because it's kind of relevant to this question. I have two ways that people can work with me. One of them is I teach you how to do this for yourself, or the other one is essentially that I take it over and do it for you. And that could be going out and looking for the right partnerships and kind of facilitating those partnerships, but then you would then talk to that person and make sure that it is right for you and your business. So even for a solopreneur, it is completely fine to use an agency or service provider that offers these types of things. So I'm not the only person that does it. And I've got no problem talking about other people that do offer these services, because I always say is that you're adults at the end of the day. You'll choose the right person to work with you, whatever that might be. It might be me, it could be someone else. So if you want recommendations, I'm more than happy to recommend other people that also do this. But yeah, there are agencies that will help you to build partnerships. There are agencies that can help you to get more client referrals that could be taken over, sort of building the case studies, or it could be doing the like the intake type things where it's like asking them for recommendations, asking them how they have, if they're happy with the services you provided and how can you improve and things like that. So really it comes down to what you want to do. Do you want to outsource this and have somebody else do it for you, which is completely fine, or do you want to learn how to do this for yourself? And they both work perfect fine. Does that answer your question, Joanna?
Well, I guess a little bit of my question is, do you have data on that? Like, I was curious to know, is there data on, if I do it for 6 months, what's my result? And then you come over and you do it. Like, have you been able to do some of your own case study to see what works better?
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no set answer to that, in the sense of some people work better doing it themselves because they're very outgoing, they're very good at building relationships, they've got the time to implement into it, they've got the time to invest, and they love doing it, and it works really well for them. But for another person, it could be that actually they really struggle with a lot of the things that we need to do in order to build great referral partnerships. And at that point, it may be better to outsource that. So in terms of data, I can't say what one would be best for you specifically until I probably talk to you and learn more about your business. But they can both work. And I've seen some people have more success by having someone come in and do it for them, even me. And I've had other people where actually I've started doing it for them and then they've taken it over and actually got even better results because they've built really good relationships already with their audience. So actually, they're even better than I am at getting results for themselves, just based off the fact that they've got really good relationships already. And I'm almost like a block in making that happen for themselves. So it's better that I just teach them. Sometimes, most of the time, I can tell how much, like whether somebody's going to be better off working with me and me teaching them or doing it for them before they even work with me. But occasionally I don't know, and we actually say, let's test it and just see what gets the best results.
Thank you.
No problem. So I'm just going to quickly look at some of the questions we've got on here, and then we can go to the breakout room. So we've got alignable.com, yeah, I have heard of Alignable. I don't know a huge amount about them, but that might be something that actually we can talk about if anyone's got any examples or any experience with Alignable, because I have heard good things about them. I've got a very cheeky question. Okay, I like the sound of that already. How do you know that some testimonials are fake? Okay, so yeah, it can be difficult to see whether testimonials are fake. One of the things that you can do is put the image they've got with a testimonial. So it can be, for example, a picture of the person they supposedly worked with, and you can put it into like a reverse search and it can bring it up and see whether it's like an AI generated image or an image that's been just taken off Google and passed off within the testimonial. If it's got a fake image as the person that is supposedly giving a testimonial, there's a good chance that will be fake. Another thing you can do, and I haven't done this myself, but I have heard some people do it, is that you can actually put the actual testimonial into some kind of site, and it can actually tell you with like a percentage of the likelihood that this is a genuine testimonial or not. I don't know how accurate they are at predicting that, but I know people that have done it. Another thing it can just be is looking at how specific the testimonial. If it's a basic, great, really recommend them, there's actually a good chance that's real, because who would fake a testimonial like that? But if it's got loads of information and loads of specifics, one of the things you can do, and this is something that I always do with my clients, is if you want to speak to one of my clients directly, I have actually got clients who are willing to talk to people that are interested in working with me and actually have a one-to-one conversation or just a DM chat or whatever. And that's something that you can do. You can go to that person and say, okay, I've seen this testimonial. That's the one that actually resonates with me the most based on my own circumstances. Would it be possible to speak to that client? Now, what they might need to do is go away and ask for permission and see if it's okay. But they could, if they say point blank right away, I'm not going to do that, that could be a bad sign. Or it could just be that their client doesn't want to. So just get that information first. Is it because that client doesn't want to talk to you and they just don't feel comfortable? That's fine. Or is it they're not willing to do it? If they're not willing to do it, that might be something to look into a little bit more. Okay, so I'm just going to see if there's any others. I was just in this position to get someone to help me with my ground or do it on my own. Is So, is that, I think that was related to whether we get someone to do stuff for us or whether we can do it ourselves. Is there a specific question related to that where I think that's from Sylvia, where it says, I was just in this position to get someone to help me with my grant or do it on my own. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that as to whether if there's a set question there?
No, I was typing it when the other lady was talking,
I think it was
and
Joanna,
you
wasn't it?
covered yeah. I'm so bad with names, so I'm sorry.
I am as well. I'm
But
normally
you,
terrible.
yeah, but you covered every like part of it, so thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, no
Yeah.
worries. Okay, and then how much do we expect to pay for an agency? Okay, again, I cannot give you a set question for that because there are agencies at all price brackets. You'll get some that are very, very cheap. And actually, I see some that are very cheap, but actually very, very good at what they do. And they're just undervaluing their own services and they should be charging more. I've also seen some that are charging ridiculous amounts of money and actually their services are not what they should be for the price you're paying. But at the same time, I've seen some that are charging really high numbers because they are the best at what they do and they know that they can charge that and they know that they can get the results. Sylvia, did you have a question? I saw you had your hand up.
No, I actually wanted to comment on what you're saying.
Yeah,
Um,
please do.
Agencies are a good option, but usually for me, I stopped dealing with agencies and big companies or so because basically, from my experience, you're just an account to them. So if you reach out to a freelancer or someone who's passionate about what they do, they can actually do a much better job for you, and they will charge you much less. This is from my own experience, and actually, this is what I've been doing for 15 years now.
Yeah, and I think there is a lot to be said that there are a lot of companies, agencies that grow to a certain level and they almost forget what got them to there in the first place. If they forget to really take care of their clients, they just pass them off to some junior representative within that agency that actually isn't the best person to help them. So there are a lot of cases. Now, there's a lot of agencies that don't do that and they are actually still very good at serving their clients, but unfortunately, they're not always the easiest to find. But again, testimonials can make a big difference in finding those and actually just speaking to a few people before you make a decision on who to work with. Because I would even say that if you, at the end of this, were thinking about reaching out to me and working with me, don't go with me before you've spoken to a few other people because you might find something a better fit for you and your own business. And actually, I've got people that I have recommended that do very similar things to me because actually I think they're a better fit for that specific person and their specific business before they were me. And I've had someone who said, I 100% want to work with you. You're the best person to help me with this. And we have a chat, and I actually say afterwards, I don't think I am the best person. I know somebody who would be a better fit for you. Would you be open to me making that referral? And actually, they was, and that other person, I was right that they was a better fit to work with someone else. But unfortunately, a agent will just take any client they can, and as long as they get the money, they don't care. And it can be difficult to know who those are until you start working with them. It can become an expensive thing. But that's another great thing about having these referral relationships is if you're looking for a very specific thing, you can go to your referral partner and say, I need this thing. What, let's say you need help with HR. Who do you recommend? Maybe they know someone great. And the fact that it's a personal recommendation at that point, you can have a lot more confidence that actually this is better because they already know you. So they probably know who you work well with, the types of businesses. So for example, Sylvia, people would know you prefer working with freelancers. So they would recommend someone who is a freelancer as opposed to an agency that's got lots of employees. And it's little things like that can make a big difference. So honestly, yeah, actually, this is actually a pretty good time. I think we can go and do 20-minute, 30-minute breakout rooms now if you want to, Safa. And I think a great way to kind of preface these breakout rooms would be to actually talk amongst yourselves and talk about what are some things that you're going to start doing today or tomorrow in your business that's going to help you to get more referrals. And it could be based on something that we talked about, but it could be things that have just sparked an idea based on what about in your own mind around how you can get more referrals. And then we can bring people in, we can talk about that a little bit, and then we can have some Q&A at the end. If that sounds good, do you want to set those up for us, Safa? And I don't know how you normally do these breakout rooms, if whether you do set people just making random.
Sure. So let's do 20 minutes. Do you have specific questions for the group in terms of the strategy that they want to put in place?
So I would say the specific question is, what are you personally going to do in your own business in order to, Samuel, yeah, no worries. If you've got to leave, if you have any questions, feel free to give them to Saffron. She can pass them to me, or you can reach out to me. But yeah, the specific question is going to be, what are you personally going to do in your own business to start getting more referrals? And if you haven't got anything, maybe come up with a question that you can ask me that is going to help you specifically with your business. And that's another thing that we can talk about in Q&A, but it's because the most important thing is the implementation. So my specific question is, what are you going to start doing more of in order to get more referrals for your business? Hey, so yeah, I ended up in a room with Joanna, Sylvia, Sharif, and Scott. We ended up actually getting drawn into the conversation. I didn't get a chance to come back and go to the other room, but it's fine because we can actually talk about now what actually was discussed in. I'm assuming there would have been another room, I'm guessing, with Rebecca, Alfredo, and Sylvia. Is that correct? There was
Right, and Paula. Paula had another meeting, so she.
Okay. No problem. So actually, let's start with the room with Alfredo and Sylvia. And what you discussed in your room, was it related to the question I asked, or did you have other things come up? Because I know we talked about a few other things unrelated to that in our room.
Well, in reality, we talk about what each one of us is doing.
Yeah.
And apart from using influencers, some of them have done it. We've done it all. Yes, and sometimes with success, others with not, and so it's very difficult to come with a formula. In reality, with a recipe. From my point of view, it's a part. All of them is part of our marketing mix.
Yeah,
and we should try all of them and see how it goes. For example, here in Ecuador, the society is very closed. And referrals are important, and there are basically no networking meetings as they are in the US, for example. They are not used, mostly in Latin America. There are not that many networking meetings, so it's very different. In-person free webinars used to be very successful, but nowadays much more difficult to do them. Online webinars are not that successful because our target, as a coach, my target is C-level executives. So that's much more difficult. I also target entrepreneurs, which might well be a bit easier, but not that much. So in essence, I've tried all except influencers. Partnerships. We talk about partnerships, which are very interesting. In my case, for example, a good partner will be an accounting firm or a therapist that works with a lot of business people, all sorts of things in that sense.
You've essentially done step one already. You've identified who could be a good referral source for you in terms of like partnerships. And the next thing to do now is to think, okay, do I already know anyone in this realm that I trust in that area? So do you have accountants, or what was the other one you said? You said accountants, you said someone else that would also be good partners for you.
Could well be therapists or companies of research, and my targets are C-level executive in that sense. So whoever provides services to those companies might well be a partner. But one thing that we put on the table is that partner needs to be a pretty good friend.
Yep, and that can be a great kind of boundary that you have yourself, is that when you start a partnership with someone, it has to be someone that you've already known for a certain amount of time, you already trust them, because it can be difficult to build that trust from the beginning. And depending on how quickly you can develop that trust and actually be like, I'm willing to refer this person. Some people need to know someone for a long period of time. Other times you don't need to necessarily know each other for a long time. So for example, I've already mentioned, and I mentioned this in group, is with Sharif. He's mentioned something that's already close to my heart. So I already want to have at least a conversation with him to see if there's a way that I can be a support to him, to introduce him to people. There may not be, but if there is, I want to be able to find that just because he's doing something that's close to my heart. And Joanna, there's already someone that I want to introduce to her because of something she said in the other room that we was in. So again, I'm always looking for people that I can make introductions to, make referrals to. But it might not happen. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We will see. But that can be a great boundary for you, is that you want to only refer people that you've known for a while, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Rebecca, what about you? Was there anything that was kind of said? Because like I said, I wasn't in your room, so we get to hear some of the things that maybe you've brought up as a good point, or anything that you're going to implement into your business.
I will definitely work a little bit more conscious with my referrals, like my client referrals, or like my already existing customers and clients. And I loved your point of the timing to ask for the referral. It's not necessarily in the end of the 6 month period or whatever it is, but it's like when the breakthroughs are happening. So I really love that point. And also, who was it who mentioned it? It was Alfredo, I believe, who to like always keep your past clients, keep the relationship with past clients. I also love that idea. And then I'm already using partnerships, and I love like partnerships, but I'm also like working a little bit on like how can I who are the good partnerships and how can I be clear about it? I think there's something there for me to explore even more. And I asked out in the room, like, what are the different experiences? Because it's always inspiring to hear like, what other good experience do you have? So it was very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think there's definitely the point at which you ask for a referral is key, and I will come back to that in a minute. But the thing about the partnerships, and I think all of us will have some sort of experience with a partnership that's not gone well, and hopefully all of us have got an experience with a partnership that has gone well. And it's looking at both of those. So you can look at, okay, one that hasn't gone so well, what was the reason for it? What are some of the things that have maybe been consistent in all of your partnerships that haven't worked out so well? Because then you know that, okay, that's a 100% thing for me, but that can't happen next time. But then look at it on the flip side is, okay, any that you have had success with, what can you do with those partnerships and to emulate those again? So is there something that's consistent in all of your partnerships where they've gone well? And it could be something like Alfredo said, that I've known this person for a long time and I already know that I can trust them. That could be something for you. It could be something along the lines of the types of people they work with, or the way that they work with their clients, because some people could be very relationship driven, more other people could be more transactional based. And there's not necessarily one or the other that's wrong or right, but every single person, everyone's individual. Some people actually do work well in very transactional business because they don't want to have that relationship based, like more relationship based with the people that they're working with or the businesses that they're working with. I personally am more relationship driven in business. Other people are more transactional, each to their own. So again, it's finding those things that are consistent in all the partnerships that go well or don't go so well. And then the other point that you made about when you ask for a referral. So do you have a particular time with your clients where generally that's when the best result happens, or is it kind of like individual for each client you work with? They all get that big win at different points.
What I actually got to think about when you said it is that actually I often have a lot of wins in the very fast, to be honest.
Okay.
So actually, yeah, so I should definitely ask for referrals like faster than I'm currently doing, because actually it's already in the beginning that
and that's the thing. That's another thing that a lot of times people think that, oh, I can't possibly ask for a referral. Maybe they've had a big win in a week. You're like, I couldn't possibly ask for a referral after only a week. But actually, if they've had a really big win, there's nothing wrong with that, because they've got what they're paid you for already. And actually, that could be a really good thing, because they might know somebody that doesn't like to work with someone for 6 months before they have that big win. That actually, they'd rather just work with someone for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever and have that big win. So then you can say, okay, so one of the things that actually you've got here is that you've got something out of this very, very quickly. Who else do you know that is like that they want to have those quick wins and get the results and just move on to the next thing, or take that and implement it in a business? They don't want to spend 6 months, because actually I do know people like that don't want to spend 6 months with one coach or one service provider before they get what they actually bought and paid for in the first place.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions in the chat. So the answer to ask is hard as an introverted person that appears to others as an extrovert. So that's from Scott. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that? The reason I asked that is because I consider myself an introvert. So I'll be really curious to learn a little bit more about what you're kind of thinking on that, on those lines.
Yeah, I would have never pegged you as an introvert, which points to my message.
A lot of people do say that, but I am more of an introvert. But I'll tell you why I consider myself an introvert and why.
I think, there's a new term out there called outrovert, which is this introverted person that has extroverted tendencies. I I'm not afraid to speak in public. I'm great with my clients, but I need a lot of recovery time after being around people for a long time. And frankly, I've just never been good at the ask. I'm confident in myself. I know what I'm doing, and I'm excited to offer my services. But I want people to magically know that and ask me for my services. I don't want to ask people, and that has been my barrier since day one. And all the coaches I've ever had are giving me advice to how to do this, and I understand it cerebrally, but I don't feel comfortable saying, "Hey, would you mind sharing my name with your colleagues?" Even though when I have done it, it's been somewhat successful, it doesn't stick with my pattern. And that's my challenge.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to say is, and let you into a little secret, I still don't feel comfortable asking referrals now. I hate asking for referrals, but I do it because I know that it's the way to get referrals. Now, I do get a lot of referrals now without asking, which is great. But generally speaking, that's not going to happen until you start asking for them. So the fact that you feel uncomfortable asking referrals, that's completely natural, completely normal. I still feel like that to this day, and I probably always will do. It's a little bit easier for me now that I've asked many hundreds, probably even thousands of times at this point. But for me, that's not completely gone. Maybe that is an introvert thing. I don't know. Or it could just be a thing about some people that are maybe a little bit more reserved. They just struggle to make that ask. One thing I would say is push yourself to make that ask, even if it does feel uncomfortable, maybe even petrifies you to ask. It gets easier the more you do it. It probably won't ever fully go away, but it does get easier. So just put yourself out and just be like, you know what, I'm going to force myself to make that ask. And you can do it in whichever way it feels most comfortable for you, even if it feels like completely unnatural. And over time, it will get better, but it might not ever fully go away. And the point that you made about the introverted thing, I'm exactly the same. So I get my energy by being alone, which is why I class myself as an introvert. I love talking to people. I love being in groups. I love having these one-to-one conversations, but they don't energize me. They take my energy. So then afterwards, I need that time alone to recharge and regain that energy.
Great. Thank you. I will ask everybody for referrals. How's that? There's my go. Send me referrals. I'll send you referrals.
There you go.
Thank you.
You've made that
Gary.
ask. You've made that first ask. That's the most important step.
I was going to say, it's a confidence thing, but it's a confidence thing from what I've learned about being exposed to men over the last couple of years. Is like sometimes it stems back to your childhood, but something triggers you. I mean, like in my own instance, my dad, like he ran the intensive care unit at the local hospital, and there's always that need to have some sort of approval. And with my ex-father-in-law, I kind of carried it over with seeking more approval that was never forthcoming. And so what that does, it affects your ability in terms of the self-belief in yourself. If nobody else around you is seeing you or believing in you, then you start to look in the mirror and think, well, I don't see myself. And it's only those who are really around you who then start to understand who you are. It's like, we call it the mirror. What you see in somebody is often what you possess as quality yourself. And so if you see somebody with great tendencies, you possess them as well. If there were bad tendencies, you have them as well. And so what it is, it's like it's overcoming that and believing in Scott, your product, and believing in yourself and believing in what you have to offer, and taking those competencies and delivering it in a way that makes those people who you might be around understand. And not everybody's at a level to understand things the same way, to finding it for the right audience, the right message, or the right delivery channel, to then speak to them that actually then hits home. And that's probably what I've found is one of the greatest ways that if you understand people, the ability to then have conversations with people in a way that doesn't seem overly deliberate, but it's genuine, it's sincere, it's empathetic, it's on the same page, is the point that then you're likely to get more of a buy-in from somebody, as opposed to just, this is what I do, this is how I do it, can I get a referral? It's, let's go out, let's have that coffee, let's have that chat, let's have the shared experience, etc., etc. Because then it's just like, it's not fishing, but it is it's making sure that they buy into you as an individual. And if they're brought into you as an individual, they're more likely to buy into you as whatever service or other product you're selling, I think. And so I think that's the best way to approach it.
Great. There's a question from Joanna, Sylvia, and then Alfredo, please.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I'm actually going to build slowly on what Shari said. There is a lot about confidence. And I referred earlier that I worked in sales. Before I worked in sales, so I'm an introvert, sorry. And I appear like an extrovert today because I worked on it. And just like you said, it's art, Scott. It is. You have to practice over and over. But what I've learned is I couldn't have a conversation in my 20s without blushing. Every single conversation was like such a difficult moment in my life. And when I got into the sales job, after I had not sold for 3 weeks, after 3 weeks, the general manager came to me and says, if you're not selling, you're going to be fired. So I had to either sell or not. Clearly I had to sell to keep the job. I got one piece of advice from that training that I would like to share because I think it's important for everyone. It's very simple. You've heard it probably before. Do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. But the thing is, it's not always related to work. So the block of you yourself putting out there, it's not because you're not confident in what you do or you're not, it could be, and somebody mentioned it can come from childhood, maybe Sharif as well. It could be something as a kid you never wanted to do. It could be as simple as going to the bakery, ordering something, people are grumpy and there's an unfair situation and you actually take a stand and say something. Just gaining that personal confidence in very small situation would make you grow internally and allow you slowly to present yourself in a different way. That was just my sharing.
Great.
Thank
Thank you, Joanna. I'll try that next time. I'll think of you. Sylvia, I think you had your hand up earlier.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia. The thing is, when Scott spoke, it reminded me what I took away from Gary's talk, and maybe it helps Scott or others as well, because it's not about asking for, well, that's how I understood it, Gary. It's not about asking like directly for testimonials or any referrals. And you said it so nicely. It really is in the wording. And when you then say, can you think of anybody who could, well, benefit from the same results you've just experienced? Well, just send them in my direction. And this is, well, much more conversational, not as forceful. And well, I wrote it down because I will try that a bit more often. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, it could be that it isn't the most effective way to ask, but it is for you to at least get started. And that's for the first 100 times until you get used to asking for those referrals. But as I said to Scott, I've asked hundreds, maybe even thousands of times at this point, and it still doesn't feel completely natural to me, but I still do it because I know it's an important way of getting more business. Yeah, so
Yes.
Alfredo.
sorry.
And I was thinking about what Sharif was talking about, and I guess we need to divide this in stages. There is a first stage, which is of getting the leads, prospecting, and getting in contact. And I guess that's one of the main challenges for us, especially for us solopreneurs. And then comes the actual one-on-one meeting. And that's got another different challenges in the sense being assertive, asking questions, and then comes closing the deal. And those are 3 typical stages in sales. And each one of us can have different challenges in each stage. In the sense the introverts will have more challenges in the one-on-one meeting. I just posted a TED talk about that, so 100 Days of Rejection, and which is very funny, but it's very good, because what we need to do is to expose to that, well, as you were saying, Gary. We just have to just fake it till we make it.
Yeah.
That sense. In reality, that's how mindfulness works. We have to envision ourselves in that situation beforehand, being successful, we work with all our senses, feeling that, and then jump into it and fake it. And that takes a lot of courage.
I would even add something to the fake it till you make it thing. When it comes to asking for referrals, you maybe don't even have to fake it. You can actually be honest with the people you're asking referrals
Yes.
with. That I feel very uncomfortable right now asking for this, but I'm having to put myself out there and do this. I'm going to ask you for a referral. It will come across in the most awful way possible, but it
Yes.
doesn't matter if you're doing it just to get started. So you don't even have to fake it. You can just be like actually honest with the person and say that I hate the fact that I'm doing this, but I need to do it.
Yes, and I guess most of us are pretty good on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
I guess our challenges are more getting the lead.
That's the thing. When it comes to this, but we're all going to have our own part of the process that we maybe feel uncomfortable with, or we struggle with, or we just can't quite get right. And it's working out, okay, what is that point where you struggle? And then what is it that I need to do to overcome it? It'll be different for each of us.
Yes.
Brilliant. So I just wanted to point out one thing. I don't know how long have we got? Yeah, we are coming towards the end. So I just wanted to, Fran, you mentioned the fact that you're an extrovert, but you struggle as well. And I think that actually could be important for people that maybe do feel like they're more of an extrovert and I still struggle. And it shows that we can all struggle with asking for referrals. And that's probably one of the reasons why not many of us do it, is because of the fact that I've never done it. It doesn't feel comfortable for me. I don't like to ask. But actually, what you'll find is that most people, if you've already built a good relationship with them, they're not going to mind you being asked for a referral. I have no problem with people asking me for a referral, and I'll be honest with them if I can or can't. So the only time I would say someone might get annoyed at you for asking referrals is if you ask when they don't know you. I've had people that have been like, come and ask me for a referral, and they've never even spoken to me before. It's literally their first message to me. Who do you know who could work me? And I'm like, why on earth would I send anyone to you? I know nothing about you. I don't even really get annoyed about it. I just find it quite funny, actually, more than anything. But that's the only time that you might get some people that be annoyed if you start going asking random people, can you refer someone to me? It's not going to happen until they at least know something about you and had a conversation with you.
Right.
Brilliant. So
We're
we
2
are,
minutes out.
yeah, I think we are near the end now, aren't we, Sapphire? So yeah, I'll let you close out if you want.
Well, no, why don't you say a few words about your paid offers, and maybe we can take last questions or closing remarks from you guys, and maybe like action plans. I want to see action from you. How aggressive, well, aggressive, I don't know if it's the right word, but how intentional are you going to be in terms of getting referrals, getting testimonials, getting people to talk about your products, your services in a natural way, not forcing anything. Although at the beginning, there needs to be a little bit of structure, I believe. Even like in my own business as expertise, I think I need to be really intentional about it and sit down and be like, hey, but yeah, what are you guys action plan from now on? What are you gonna act on?
Yeah, I'd love to hear that actually. Like, what is the thing that you're going to start doing? And then I'll quickly mention my offer.
Yeah, Joanna, go ahead.
Okay, so very quickly, based on my situation, as I'm not fully
I'll go. Shall I go?
into my next opportunity, what I can do is use my connections now to start building that network that I would be able to use as referral in the future. But I want to do a very quick remark that's for you, Safa. Based on the conversation today, we all need to work on it individually, but I think it would be a beautiful service that expertise could offer. It would not only help every expert, but it would create a great marketing tool for you to put expertise out there by just pushing every single expert in a different way.
We're going to be talking about it next week with Hemant, who's going to be discussing PR, how you guys can create PR for yourselves without having to hire a PR agency. So yeah, come back next week. Last word to you, Gary.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, I appreciate everyone for giving me your attention, asking some great questions, making some great points. It's really helped me when this thing is interactive, because it probably is my introvert nature. I hate just talking to people for an hour straight, and because I know firsthand I'm not great with those things. I don't like to just listen to someone talk for an hour and no interaction. I much prefer these times. So thank you everyone for your own contributions to this one. And yeah, just quickly, just because I said stuff I would have, there's two ways that you can work with me. One of them is I essentially do this for you in terms of certainly the partnership side of it. I can help you develop partnerships for your business. Another way is I can teach you how to implement the different forms of referrals, whichever one is applicable to you, whether it is more client referrals, more partnerships, building a team of affiliates. So yeah, whether you need help in terms of someone coming in and doing this for you or teaching you how to do it, I can help you with that if you want to. I'm not going to say any more. You can just come and have a chat with me if you want to. If not, I would still love to connect with all of you because, like
I'm
I
not
said,
seeing your contact details, Gary. They're not in the chat.
oh, sorry. Do you know what? I should have got my LinkedIn profile. If we've got a minute, I'll quickly go and get my
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile and I
Yeah.
can post in the thing. I think
that.
some of you have already connected with me on here, but I'm just gonna quickly
And you
grab
guys
my.
can save the chat if you wanna save the chat with the recommendation with the TEDx talk. I know Alfredo is always recommending TEDx talk, so and I watched them really. Just thank you, Alfredo. They've been very useful. But yeah, if you guys have any other recommendations, feel free to add them onto the chat. Thank you again so much, Gary. Stay in touch with you. We'll think of you next time. We'll be like, ooh, we have to send out some referrals.
Yeah, when you start asking for referrals, to blame me for it.
That's right. Stay in touch and see you all next week for a new session with a member of our community, Hemant, who'll be talking about PR and how we can put ourselves more out there to get more business. Thank you again, Gary. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.